Less hassles, greater perfection, fewer mistakes. These habits are going to get you there.
1, you've got a parcel or you've gone to the store. Either way, you've got fabric coming into your home, and it doesn't stop there. It goes along straight away to the washing machine, and you wash it the way that you would be washing that fabric as a garment. However you do that. Now, I wash my clothes and hang them up to dry flat. I suppose if you've got a dryer, you should do that, whatever you're doing for your clothes.
Why? Well, fabric can shrink. A little bit fibre dependent, so some really do shrink a lot. Now, if you've made a garment and you didn't pre-wash your fabric, the worst thing that can happen is that all the pieces will not shrink uniformly. You'll end up with a skewed garment. It's not good. You might end up with a uniformly shrunk garment, but that's still not good either. So we want to pre-wash the fabric. The second reason is when we make fabric, not that I make fabric, when they make fabric, there are chemicals that are used. And there are also probably a gazillion hands that have touched it, so we want to wash that out. And then the last thing is it could, some circumstances, colour bleed. So you'd rather have that washed out pre-wash than have a nasty surprise when you made the garment and you throw it in the wash with the other clothes. Finish your raw edges. Now this was drilled into me by my grandma before I was allowed to sew a single thing. Those cut material bits of my pattern had to be finished with a zigzag all around every single edge. So you can finish raw edges so they don't fray with a zigzag, an overcast, it's just another stitch, or an overlocker. Serge may be in your country. But you must finish your edges. They will not fray. They will not land you up in a mess where you're tangled up with threads, or whether it's frayed so badly you don't know where your seam allowance is anymore. Finish edges. Now the other thing is I've seen people waiting to finish their raw edges until they've seamed a garment. But if you've got one seam crossing over another seam, how do you drive your machine into that intersection? You can't get the machine up there. So you can't finish all the way up. You've got to finish your edges first before you go sewing, in my opinion, and in my grandma's opinion. Another great habit to get into is to backstitch the beginning of a seam and the end of a seam. And you just never forget. Just get into the habit. Every time you start a seam, backstitch it. It stops the thread from unraveling. Now I have sometimes not done it, and it doesn't go very well sometimes because then I have to end up sewing that seam again because it did unravel. I needed it to progress. So backstitch, it stops the thread from unraveling. Now you can do I think there's a lock stitch on some modern machines, so you can use that. I've always just done a backstitch. You can do some other ways of finishing the thread so that it doesn't undo, but backstitch is the no-brainer. That's the number one that we all do. And some people will ask the question, well, I see many people sewing and sewing and sewing and they don't backstitch. They're just doing it in a factory fashion and churning through. Why not? So in a factory setting or a batch sewing situation, you're going to know very, very well every single process. So you're going to know which seam gets crossed over by another seam. So crossing a seam over does also stop it from unraveling. So only in those situations you cannot do it. But I think that would require more brain power anyway. I'm just backstitching. Number one habit, it's great. Let's have a wee look at the sewing machine. Now up through here there's a metal thingy-dooby. So let me just, can you see him poking up? I'm just lifting him up and down now. I'm just using my hand wheel. Now when it's in the up position, it means it has finished a full complete stitch. And that means that your thread tails are not going to be jerked up because this is going up again and you'll lose your threads. So this is what we mean about finishing your stitch.
Let me sew a little bit for you. All right, backstitch to end the stitch, of course. And then let's take them out. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that my needle is fairly low. It's not a high position. And I've got difficulties it's not pulling out smoothly. So just use your hand wheel to wiggle that and it will help. And tuck your tails behind you. This is a good habit always. Let's see what happens now when we've left the needle in that position. Straight away.
So can you actually see where the take-up lever is? It's actually all the way down here. So let us just, I'll hand wheel it up for you. And you can see it moving up slowly. It's about to pop out. There he is. Right, now he's in the up position.
Well, look at this awful lot of thread hanging about. Now, tell you what that does, other than being downright ugly, it makes a huge job at the end to go and snippety snip and clean up. And it also can get caught. And I've had things fall off the floor because a thread got caught and I just, everything got dragged off the table. So you don't want to be doing this. Now, it's not just a matter of snippety like this. This isn't good enough. You actually, after you have done your seam and you've done your raw snip off, you have to come in nice and close. And this is why we've backstitched, so it won't unravel. And we come in nice and close. It doesn't matter if you use snips or scissors. Just get it nice and close. And then at the end, if you do this every single seam, you're not going to have a mess. And it's going to save you time.
So you know how you're doing the snip of the threads after every single seam? Well, it does help to sweep them away and not have them like swept on the floor or on the desk and then the fabric picks it up. So I have a little, that's really full now, I have to empty it, but I have a little place where I can just sweep them into the little baggy bin there. It's not a bin, I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm actually going to use that for cabbage. Cabbage is where you stuff, like that's all soft. There's nothing sharp in there. It's where you use it as stuffing for other things. So I have thought I might use it for some cat toys or for some boot stoppers or for like a snake draft stopper under the door. So I'm accumulating that. Now over here, the bigger bits, just the offcuts that are just, they're way too like, I'm not going to really be able to use anything. So that really. So they go into my little baggie of more cabbage. And then my sharps, I have a sharps container. And why we have sharps containers is your needle's going to break, your pins might break, or they might get glue on them. You have to dispose of them. And your little clippity-doodahs, I've got them up there, they snap. So you get sharp bits of plastic and bits of metal. So that, I got maracas now. That's going to go in the bin when it's full and then no one gets hurt. But it's nice to have it all organised.
Make friends with your iron. Now look at this picture and see if you can work out which side was ironed and which wasn't. I'm actually doing a French seam here, and what I mean about the stages, ironing at the stages, is with a French seam there are 2 stages. So I'm on the second one now, I'm on the second part of the seaming. I needed to press that before I did this lot of seaming, and I've only done that on one side. Afterwards, this is the after you have to press as well. So just turning it out here, and let's have a look if you can spot the difference, which side was pressed and which side wasn't in the intermediate stage. I flipped it round, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of difference. So get ready to press between stages, always on wovens, rarely, if ever, on stretch materials, because that can interfere with the stretch retention. I will always do it with hems. Yes, you need to change your needle. Now, some people use it for every new project, but do not wait until it breaks. You will damage things. Now, I'm just poking at this saying it's a stretch needle. So, of course, you also have to choose the right needle for the right material, or the right project, right needle, right project for the right material. So stretch needles are best on knits, and universals can't be used. And if you don't do a fresh needle, you will also get problems. Don't wait until it breaks. You want your stitch quality to be good. Talking about problem-free stitching, it really only happens if you use good quality thread. Now with clothing, we use polyester because it's more durable and we only want a name brand. So Metla, Razant, Gutermann, Dortec, they're all some names and they're all great. Gutermann you can get just about everywhere. Now if you don't do that, you will have massive problems. You might get away with it, but if you're not, it will be massive. And also, put it in the top thread as well as the bobbin. Put the same brand, same type of thread in both. Oh, and you also need to keep it away from dust and sunlight, otherwise it deteriorates. That's why I like this box.
Getting organised ahead of time. How do you do that? Well, you let me help you out because I've been doing it for a while and I wish I'd known these things, but I, found them as I went along. So they should be helpful for you. So you don't have to run into problems. We need to organise our threads, preferably in ways that they don't unravel. We need to organise our patterns. They are going to accumulate over time. You don't want them exploding everywhere and you don't want to annoy other people in the house. Yes, that was my husband's weight bench. And we also need to organise our fabrics. They will also accumulate, and if you're sale shopping, you will also have stuff that you haven't used yet. So tubs I like because they're clear, they're plastic. If you get the clear plastic ones, you can see, you can label them, you can wheel them around. Mine are all on wheels and they're stored away from dust. Oh yeah, what you see before you. They should not ever, ever get mixed up. We don't cross our sewing scissors onto paper and we don't put our paper sharps over to the sewing of material or cutting of fabric. So yeah, I have a special rotary cutter that I use for paper and one for fabric. I love it. Okay, it's great for paper, it's great for material, but they're separate. And I do have another pair of scissors there. I don't know, someone else has nicked them. They can nick those ones, but not those ones. They're for fabric. Reason why? These things need to be sharp. If you use those on paper, they're gonna get dull. Enjoy your comfy lives, enjoy your sewing, enjoy your new habits and new organisation that you're gonna get up to. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to buy me a coffee if you want to thank me. And I'll see you next time. Happy sewing. Enjoy your comfy lives.